Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Tiana here, once again, and I am back for some more yet again for the likes of the Mercy Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Klonoa, Moonlight Museum for the Bandai WonderSwan. So last time we have basically just went through the majority of World 4, despite the fact that we did manage to have ourselves some bit of trial and error situations when it comes to certain puzzles in Fury, but apart from those side of things though, I think that we did that world pretty alright and such. So today, for this episode, is the fact that we're about to be moving on to our World 5, which appears to be by the forms of Selfish Museum. So either way though, let's get this thing to it. So even then though, as you can tell, we now ended up in the actual museum itself, so we can able to actually just to be expect that we can able to actually do a lot of things here and there. Like for instance, for example, that although we'll point things out, but if we get into the actual main emphasis on this entire world, that usually relatively speaking is just the fact the matter is though is that we're now entering the actual museum itself or something. So, but I digress. Some people might seem to say this is one of the hardest worlds in the game, but honestly, I honestly think that this world is actually one of the easiest worlds. Like, don't believe me? Well, you'll see until whenever we're able to actually just to get onto the actual world itself. So yeah, here's the main emphasis on this world's gimmick, and that was the fact that, as you can tell, we're now entering those specific numbered doors. And as you can tell, that, like, for example, if I entering one of those particular doors that usually represents number 1 over there, and basically that leads me to another door to the exact same number, which appears to be number 1. And also similar to any other numbers here and there as well. And of course, if you couldn't tell already, this is my second attempt for this recording session because I need to definitely get a little bit more practice, especially noticeable for this particular stage case. So because of this though, hopefully I'm also able to actually get used to with that specific stuff though, but usually relatively speaking that's all there is to say. So, excuse me, I'm really sorry about that folks. And hopefully by that time, we're definitely gonna have to say this right now, that we won't be getting that much frustration here and now when it comes to certain puzzles eventually. So yeah, relatively speaking, I might able to actually do this on the first attempt if possible. So anyway, a few things I want to explain about this today is the fact that obviously today's day is of course the 27th of October of 2020. And guess what folks, is the fact that recently today, that the Super Mario Odyssey has been turned to 3 years old now. So I can't even believe that particular game has been out for 3 years now, which I can't even believe that time itself just managed to able to like zoop pass by, which even then though, that could be also slightly, same applies to let's just say a Thor, Ragnarok, kind of film or something like that. I know I am not exactly sure I've ever actually watched any other Marvel films like, the Thor series. Well, I definitely heard about the Thor, but obviously I haven't exactly watched the rest though, unfortunately, just because I now actually haven't got around to it though. So either way though, hopefully I might as well watch those in a later time though, but not now though, just because I'm usually going to be focusing on this from now on, so. Now originally we were going to be able to expect to realize that originally this was going to be 2 parts for the sake of the films of World 5, although trust me, whenever we get on to Thursday, and especially noticeable for possibly on Saturday or Sunday, depending on the forms if I was going to be busy and stuff. Relatively speaking, is the fact that we might able to actually do the true final world in the whole entire game by able to actually do 2 separate parts, because, well, I just have no idea why I'm truly saying this right here, so even then though, yeah, don't do like I just did right there, just because obviously you will die instantly if you manage to able to actually just to try to get one of those collectibles, as you can see, but of course I wasn't paying attention well enough, so, but then again, sort of a semi-blind or anything like that, so what we're supposed to do is that we need to use this cube thingy at all times, and basically we need to take it all the way to this spot over there, and basically we need to go all the way down and just throw it, and hopefully you would be able to actually make your way to, of course, the forms of that particular well, the actual dream, well, I don't know exactly you call it that, but then again, it has been a while since I actually did manage to play this game, since, of course, on Sunday, so, yeah, I just want to classify that, so, anywho, though, as far as the forms of, few things I just want to explain is that, well, honestly, they don't seem to there's not much else I can honestly try to say about this. Although, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking, is that, yes, those 3 collectibles are known as stars, according to the forms of the actual, you know, Klonoa Wikipedia and stuff like that. And yes, I do know that the crystals are also known as dream stones. So, yeah, that's one important thing out right away. So, either way, though. And, relatively speaking, is the fact that I'm not exactly sure that this will be the last time we're going to be able to actually just, well, come across into that particular puzzle-like levels, although there might be still some along the way, specifically whenever we get onto the actual true final world of the game, which we'll point it out whenever we get onto Thursday, and especially noticeable for either Saturday or Sunday, as I said earlier. But, you know, relatively speaking, I just need to be able to get this game done, you know, just before we move on to the next set of games or something like that, so... But it does take time though, but it usually does manage to take time though, so... Anyways. So yeah, the first stage, as you can tell, is actually pretty self-explanatory if you manage to know what you're doing. Well, apart from the fact that sometimes, again, since I'm gonna be almost becoming like semi-blind, and I think, relatively speaking, it's that, out of all the actual worlds in this game, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to actually spend your time on some levels in this game's case, that basically you get yourselves not only 3 horizontal levels, but also 3 vertical levels, which you see what I mean until whenever we get on to Vision 5-2, as well as Vision 5-3, and even 5-4. And, yeah, there's gonna be a 50-50 when it comes to likely doing, you know, a couple of levels in between, you know, horizontal stages, as well as the vertical levels, which... Again, we'll point it out whenever we get onto, you know, Vision 5-2, which, first of all, let me just save my game here. And of course, we're going to be heading over to Vision 5-2, and sure enough, we'll head over to the vertical stage. So, yeah, because believe it or not, this is also another reason why, that, relatively speaking, is the fact that, unfortunately though, this might actually be delayed uploads for the sake of time, just because of how the fact that this is the reason why it's been took so long to able to actually just to get back into this, because, of course, with a lot of, like, recording sessions, like, you know, trying to do, like, separate parts in between, like, let's just say, in some levels of, you know, horizontal levels, as well as the vertical levels, so... And, conveniently enough though, as far as you might as well know, is that, Mario and Luigi are almost gonna be finishing up with, Mario Kart Double Dash at this point, and conveniently enough, they are able to actually finish it until on Friday, of course. So, that might be a perfect opportunity to whenever we wrap things up with the entire Mario Kart series at this point in time. Well, apart from the fact that we're not gonna include several, you know, spin-offs in between, as far as where Mario Luigi has already mentioned about this before, ever since in their Let's Play of Mario Kart Double Dash, as far as you guys should know. So, either way though, I'm quite surprised also is the fact that, usually most of these Let's Plays can go down pretty darn quick, especially notable because we still ended up in a YouTube partnership and stuff like that, which honestly, I really do still appreciate it for that specific stuff. So, either way, there's not much else to say about this for this point right here. Thankfully, if you couldn't tell already from the actual time length for this video, thankfully it's nowhere near as long as the Forms of Power does it on World 4, just because there's going to be a lot of emphasis on backtracking in World 4, but usually, relatively speaking, it might get a bit of a backtracking heavy in World 5, but nowhere near as much as the Forms of World 4, I don't think, because... Well, relatively speaking, it's most likely because I recently just looked upon, you know, guide videos about the fact that how to solve as many puzzles as we could. So, but either way though, because relatively speaking, that's all I can usually just try to say about this here, so... And of course, we do need to use this bomb-like enemy right there. And not to explode like that, because that will able to actually not let me to able to actually go for that time limit switch. So instead, we need to go from here and let the bomb... Oh, no. Ah, I just messed it up. Sometimes, I always attempt to mess up on certain segments, which even then, though, hopefully our muzzle able to actually just hopefully try to make it. There we go. And once you're done with that, then you can able to activate that particular time limit switch. That way you can get yourselves a star. So, how's that for that? So, and let's grab the actual, the circle key, so that way we can able to now progress to, well actually, no way, I think this is actually a cross key, sorry about that, I wasn't paying attention, so, I do apologize for that, and that's what I get for able to not paying attention to the actual visual standpoint. Although generally that we still need to aim for that particular triangle key, which it wasn't until later on that we will eventually try to get it. But first of all, let me just go ahead and grab that particular 5 Dreamstone, as you can see. So that way we can able to actually add up to our value for the sake of time. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure we immediately onto 30 Dream Stones at this point, even though I may be wrong, just because I wasn't paying attention as much. But I think we actually did manage to max out our, you know, Dreamstones kind of thing about it. So sure enough, yep, we did. So now what we need to do now is basically we need to figure out the actual level itself, and eventually we'll try to finish off the level, because after all, we actually got, you know, all 3 stars, and also we got ourselves all 30 of those crystals slash, you know, Dreamstones in particular. In fact, this level doesn't take me as long. In fact, it might actually take me for about 5 minutes or something, or somewhat lesser than that. Well, at least assuming if I don't screw up on that particular wind current kind of segment. Well, to be more specifically onto this room right there, well, I wouldn't say that much of it though, but then again, I have no idea what I'm truly saying for this one right here, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and use this thing here, and immediately get into the goal, and sure enough, we'll add in some more pieces to the actual art gallery, so... And sure enough, though, is the fact that we actually did immediately done 2 levels, so now let's move on to World 5, or Vision 5-3, and believe it or not, this is another vertical level, so as you can see, that we're about to be returning back onto vertical stages, so... Yeah, we might able to actually get used to with this, especially because, you know, relatively speaking, that's all we have to do a lot for the sake of this world. So, because again, as I said earlier, we have ourselves a 50-50% each when it comes to likely come across into, you know, vertical levels as well as the horizontal levels at the same time. So, something's to worth to classify for such, so... a few things I want to explain about this too is the fact that I recently went back onto Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360 version, and recently I've managed to able to complete the actual main story, which I think I've sort of mentioned about this in the last few videos ago, but I may be wrong, just because I just got a little bit distracted by the forms of some occasional puzzle segments that give me any sort of trouble at all, but yeah, relatively speaking, I've managed to able to completely done with the main story, and of course the next thing I'll do now, for the Xbox 360 version at least, and excuse me, I'm really sorry about this point folks, and eventually on the PlayStation 3 version as well, that I might able to do some optional things, specifically with all these you know, side quests, as well as purchase something from Windows, which I will say, that was actually the hardest thing I've ever done, just because I was able to think about the correct spawning questions or anything like that, and unfortunately though, I have never actually come across into likely the first customer kind of achievement, so although I will try that again at some point later down the road, but of course that we're not going to play that for a long period of time obviously, just because we need to, well, as far as at this point in time for this point folks, that we might able to actually rush up a little bit until we're able to actually move on to the next set of Let's Plays in particular, such as of course, obviously definitely is going to go back into Team Sonic Racing eventually, and also similarly is of course, I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be correct, so let's restart that room. But what we meant to do here is, obviously it might be seems pretty obvious, is that we need to let the explosion block enable to actually, I don't know if that's gonna work though, but either way though, it might not work. So, unfortunately for the sake of time, yeah, I think I need to restart that, so. Even though it's not that far, I don't think, so. And plus, we're actually on the halfway point in terms of, you know, trying to get those, dream stones in particular. So, you know, you get the idea. So, yeah, instead of placing this thing on the, the wind currents, instead we need to place that explosion box, as you can see, and that way we're able to actually just to go up. So, there we go. Problem solved. And that way we can get ourselves one of the first 3 stars. Well, at least to be more specifically, 1 star in particular. So anyways, that's that room done. And again, this particular video length might be still a bit longer in comparison to the forms of World 2, or Vision 2 I should say. That is most likely because of a lot of emphasis on backtracking on certain rooms and stuff like that, so. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of times when that's gonna happen, so. Anywho though. And hopefully by that time eventually though, that I might able to move on to the next Xbox 360 game, I might also able to get the rest of these achievements back. Which is of course, I'm pursuing Rio for the Xbox 360 version, and same applies to a little bit on Sega Superstars Tennis, and also just trying to get back into Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing of course. And also Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, if I was gonna go back into that version. So, and also Toy Story 3 for the Xbox 360 version as well, so that way we can able to get some of the achievements back, in addition to those new achievements that we might come across into as well. So, but yeah, you probably get the idea of how this is going, so. But usually, relatively speaking also, I don't think we can able to go into Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts just yet, just because obviously we need to finish up with, well, we're also able to actually get on with the continuation of the Banjo-Kazooie set of Let's Plays, because obviously ever since in 2016, that obviously Twilight Sparkle and Daffy Duck has already finished up with their Let's Play of Banjo-Kazooie on the Xbox Live Arcade version, and hopefully by that time, hopefully until next year, we might do Banjo-Tooie, or Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge for the Game Boy Advance, during the forms of that particular timeline or something, so. But then again, we'll see what happens until 2021 is going to be on the horizon, so. But usually, relatively speaking, that's all I have to usually just try to say about this for the most part, so. Anyways, let's use this enemy to go up, and, well, conveniently enough, is that I'm pretty dang sure that we actually did manage to gather every single of those Dreamstones now. So even then, though, all we need to do focus at this point, right, well, what I meant to say is that, I guess the only thing he needs to do now is, of course, trying to able to get the final 2 stars until whenever we able to leave the level, so. But then again, though, not too complicated for the most part, it's just that there's going to be a lot of emphasis on backtracking, specifically on Vision 5-3 specifically, so even then, though, because of that, though, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that, so. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just use this again, and hopefully we'll try to able to actually get, you know, some more stars in particular. Well, to be more specifically, 2 stars, mind you, so hopefully we would be able to actually go for that. Yeah, you're gonna be hearing a lot of Yahoo! A lot in that particular segment right there, just because, again, oh wow, I just simply managed to get stuck onto that particular block. Okay then, that seems a little bit random, but regardless of such, we'll take it. See, I think we're gonna be okay in terms of extra lives, specifically for this game, despite the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, that the only time I do die in this world is the fact that with this unexpected strategy. Although, whenever we get onto the final main portion of, you know, Klonoa Moonlight Museum, although, actually, it's one of pointing out right from the start, folks, I would able to actually point things out right away. Usually recently I decided able to actually change the Let's Play of this to Klonoa Moonlight Museum instead, because, well, I just have no idea why, but for some reason that I just have no idea why I just managed to able to change that. Even though despite the fact that the actual game, it still calls it Casino Klonoa Moonlight Museum due to the Japanese translation and stuff like that. But at the same time though, I'm just gonna usually just call the game in English with, of course, Klonoa Moonlight Museum from now on, just because, well, I just feel like it for the sake of if those for those Klonoa fans might able to actually recognize, well, the actual emphasis on that or something, even then it's kind of hard to explain about this sometimes because, again, it has been a very, very, very long time since we actually played some Klonoa games since in our channel. At least ever since in both Daughter Phantom Mile for the PlayStation 1, and especially noticeable with the Nintendo Wii remake, which is of course Klonoa, so... But eventually we will also going to be focusing on the Klonoa games as well at some point next year as well, if depending on the forms of other titles we're going to be focusing on. But stay tuned until whenever we get on to the very end of 2020 for, let's just say, if we talk more about that particular mediocre year, or the worst year we should say, and then we'll point it out whenever we get into that, so... Anyway though, so now we've actually got all 3 stars at this point, so now let's go ahead and leave the level, and in fact the end of the level is just that if you manage to entering door number 2, then that way you would able to actually end off the level from there. So, there we go. And it looks like we're onto the halfway point in World 5 already, so... Alright, let's see what usually Vision 5-4 offers us to. Well, what else? Another vertical level. So... Hopefully this will be the last time we're gonna have to come across into that particular stuff for this video, although there might be still some more vertical-like levels until later on, but straight off the bat, basically we actually got ourselves 10 Dream Stones from the start, and also if you come towards this room, we're actually gonna get ourselves 7 on the next room, well, apart from the fact that we actually get another 10 during that particular next room, which I was like, okay, this particular level gets pretty generous when it comes to able to giving us even more Dream Stones to top it off. Which I could assure to you because I'm pretty sure this level doesn't take me that long as far as I hoped it will be. Which it can't be seems the case. So anyway, so let's go ahead and activate that switch, but before we activate that particular time limit switch for that specific door, I always have to make sure I have to double check in case if I don't miss any single items to be left out with, so there we go, the first star to obtain, and usually I'm gonna have to admit though right away is the fact that I actually do kind of like this particular world theme, which obviously this takes place in the actual inside portion of the museum, which is of course the Selfish museum, and yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about it, aside from the fact that, well, I just wish if this game will actually have color, but unfortunately we don't have a color option, unless if somebody did manage to get a ROM hack of, let's just say, a Klonoa Moonlight Museum Color Edition or something, well, I would have appreciated if they were able to actually just to release that as a ROM hack, but unfortunately though, that I don't seem to able to actually see that much research up on it, so... But oh well, it's not the end of the world honestly, because after all we got the Game Boy Advance games of course, which is, you know, Empire of Dreams, and as well as, Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament, so, yeah, I just want to classify that. In fact, it's been about, since this is 2020, yeah, it's still 2020, it has been 18 years since we've not actually seen Klonoa for such a very, very long time now, which reminds me about this, is that I wonder what happened to Klonoa these days now. Although, aside from the fact that it does make its revival return, ever since in Klonoa Wii remake during 2008, which is supposed to be part of the forms of the 10th year anniversary of the original game. No wait, it was actually not that, it was actually, I just thinking of something else for a moment. Although, unfortunately though, because of the commercial failure in the forms of Klonoa Wii remake, although the game itself did manage to receive very, very well, like, reviews-wise, but unfortunately the selling points for that game doesn't seem to able to sell well just because of commercial failure, which is kind of a shame, honestly, just because, Well, relatively speaking, because that was a part of a 2D platformer. Well, in this case, 2.5D platformer, which I think is actually a very unique take during the forms of platformers for the time. So, but either way though, it's usually kind of a shame that Klonoa does not make a comeback at all, which, please, bring him back, because he's just such a cool guy. Or in this case, a cool character, if you might as well will be. Which, I don't know if he's gonna be making its appearance in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as far as the actual DLC is concerned. But then again, we have to wait and see what happens until maybe at some point next year, until whenever we're able to eventually get ourselves, you know, some more DLC along the way in 2021. Although, because I'm pretty sure that we've only just managed to get 3 DLC fighters for the sake of the actual 2020 year, so yeah, I think I might have guessed that correctly, so but I digress. So let's go ahead and leave this room, and oh boy, we need to do a lot of leaps of faith right here. In fact, I just got screwed over for that jump. Hopefully for the second attempt though, which, because the reason why we need to make a giant leaps of faith right there is because we need to able to activate that particular block switch, as you can tell right there, and now we need to hit back, so that way we can able to let this block to come in. And, if you're probably thinking to yourself about the fact that, well, if you're trying to, oh yeah, I need to explode those, boxes first before I'm able to do this puzzle right here. Normally, if you're thinking to yourself about the fact that you could potentially try to able to go ahead and, you know, just trying to do that, but as you can tell, the time switch just managed to go very, very fast and quick. So, in this case, we need to place those 2 blocks right there, so that way the switch will be active at all times, and that way you would be able to get yourselves, what else, the 3rd and the final star. So, either way though, before we leave this level entirely though, obviously I need to still need to get the final 5 dream stones, as far as you know for the start though, and in fact, I think it was actually in this particular section, which, well, obviously it got an extra life right there, so I think I might as well able to actually just, actually I might as well go after that particular extra life kind of thing about it, because despite I accidentally died, during the forms of that particular impossible room, in, specifically on that previous level, as far as you guys should know, so, oh, there it is, right there. So it's actually not that far, I don't think, so either way though, we'll, use that to able to actually let it go all the way to the right wall, and use this particular fella to able to utilize the double jump, and I think we are basically good to go here. So we'll just go ahead and yeah, let's use him for the sake of, like, you know, just trying to able to go on to this part right there. Thankfully, if you go to door number 2, it'll send you all the way back to the beginning, so kudos to that. So either way though, now let's go ahead and switch over back to horizontal mode, as you can tell. So even then though, that's thankfully, until by the forms of the final 2 levels in World 5, everything else will go back into its horizontal mode. So hopefully without any, like, black borders in between left or right. So either way though, well, it wasn't until whenever we get onto the finale portion of this game that we will come across into one of those levels do need to utilize with, you know, the actual vertical screen. So, but then again, we'll talk more about it whenever we get onto on Thursday. So, anywho. So, as you can tell, the actual background, as you can see, those little water in the background is able to animate it. So, a pretty cool touch, I have to say. So either way though, let's go ahead and rush things up for a bit, so that way we can able to actually get even more dream stones, and also just trying to obtain the circle key. And even though despite I accidentally just missed that particular dream stone, but that's okay, because I can just simply go back into it. So either way though, we'll just go ahead and deal with all that. So either way though, we can able to actually just noticing this from the actual progressions wise or something, I don't know. But yeah, as far as other mentions, I would like to point things out, honestly not by much, because of how the fact that, well, obviously that Mario and Luigi will be able to go back into Mario Kart Double Dash until tomorrow, And exponentially though, as I said earlier, they were about to be able to finish that particular Let's Play up by specifically on this Friday. So, and that should be pretty exciting for those of you able to actually see the intense moments here and there, and even some chaotic moments here and there too. So, and as far as I guess things correctly, that I remember back in the forms of in 2011, despite the fact that our original Let's Play of that game is no longer there anymore, because obviously it's been replaced by that superior 2020 version, and with the actual capture card and everything. So, but usually back in the day, when I think the Teddy Bros, specifically White Teddy as well as Brown Teddy, despite they haven't exactly got their names though, but usually relatively speaking, it's the fact that they obviously trying to able to play the game as in co-op play with Stuart, in his case Cap King 74. Back in 2011. However though, it's actually very awkward in my opinion, just because in terms of the results in All Cup Tour on Mirror Mode, because what they actually did manage to came with, at the end anyway, they came 6th place. So because of this though, that's the perfect example of why that we're about to be able to do that game again, except the fact that with a much better quality and stuff like that. So, but usually that's far from the case, regrettably speaking, just because usually, relatively speaking, I just prefer newer Let's Play variations instead of like the old ones. Even for, well, aside from the old retro ones, can be more accurately based off from likely nostalgia reasons, but at the same time, not as much, I don't think. So, anyways, let's grab these more Dreamstones from there. I'm pretty sure this level doesn't take me that long either, although until whenever we get onto this certain point, oh yeah, we do need to shove that particular smiley cube, as you can see right there, or that block, and then trying to place it on top of that particular familiar enemy right there from the, the first game, obviously. And we need to toss that particular block onto that, almost in the exact same place as in the other block, as you can see. But obviously we need to use that in the first place just because, well, we might as well able to get ourselves our next star. So, but usually to me though, World 5 is nowhere near as complicated, I don't think. Well, apart from the fact that until eventually whenever we get onto, well, let's just say Vision 5-6, that it's going to be a little bit complicated. Well, nowhere near as much, I don't think. But usually, relatively speaking, that's all I can usually just to muster. So, anyways, let's grab even more Dreamstones from there. And sure enough, if we manage to able to go, well, first of all, let me just grab that extra life right there. And if we, as soon as we manage to able to go down, then, well, look at that, the final 5 Dreamstones. So, huzzah for that. So, obviously, we still need to aim for this last star. And I think I get the strong sense of feeling that the last star might actually be on the second level in, like, let's just say towards the right kind of room or something. But again, I'm not exactly sure I actually looked it up on this properly, so I must admit that I do apologize. So, anyways, we need to use this enemy right here, so that way we would be able to, well, trying to make a leaps of faith while simply just trying to flutter. And that way we'll able to instantly make it. And because the reason why we need to go back there for this the same room as before, because of that triangle key. And that way we can now able to actually activate that particular, well, the triangle gate, or that door even. So that way we can able to hopefully trying to solve this puzzle, and eventually we'll able to get ourselves the 3rd and the final star in this particular level. And, overall, not too complicated either, it's just the fact that sometimes I easily get ourselves messed up at certain points, most notably with the actual, you know, a huge emphasis on timing aspect or something, so yeah, I think I need to restart that. But luckily it's not that far from here, I don't think, and plus it doesn't take me a lot of tries, so... Anyways, let's activate this time limit switch, and what we're supposed to do, properly, we need to, well, let these bombs combine, and that way we'll activate that switch, and boom, there we go. In fact, it was actually a very close call too, because if I don't make it in time, I'm gonna have to restart the whole entire, well, puzzle room again, so... And thankfully, when we're done with that, the end of the level is just not that far. So, yeah, that's all for that one. obviously we got the last 30 of those dream stones to be found until whenever we complete the whole entire image. So here we go, on to Vision 5-6. So even then though that this is gonna be the biggest level of the whole game, well, sort of I guess, but usually, relatively speaking, is that obviously we do need to get all 4 keys in order to able to, well, assuming if you're trying to able to 100% the whole everything of the game, and yeah, we need to activate that switch first, and trying to place those 2 bombs almost right next to the switch, and need to be fast on this part, because otherwise, if you screw it up, then you have to restart the entire, some sort of like a platforming puzzle kind of segment again, so yeah, just keep that in mind. So, and for this room right there, it might be seems kind of pointless for you, but unless if you really want to go after more extra lives or some more dream stones, then more power to you, because that way you would be able to just to realize that yes, you do need to aim for all 4 keys, like the circle key, the triangle key, the square key, and the cross key, makes it more accurately a reference to the PlayStation controller. So yeah, it seems kind of weird, I have to say, despite the fact that this game was only exclusive to Bandai WonderSwan. Which reminds me, why can't this game get its re-release through the modern consoles? Because I would like to see this game makes its comeback, but this time in full color. But I have no idea why I'm truly asking for this point, despite that, you know, as I said this before already, that it has been about 12 years since we've last heard for, you know, Klonoa to make a comeback, so... But God knows if you're able to make a comeback, that's for sure, but again, it could be a possibility, so... And speaking of such though, is the fact that I've noticed about the fact that, well, some of these other messages or some rumors keeps telling me about the fact that with the new Super Monkey Ball game will be on its way, eventually, but I haven't exactly heard from them yet, so hopefully by that time until next year, if they're gonna be planning for the special celebration for, you know, Super Monkey Ball's 20th anniversary, from the likes of the original game that is, on the arcade machine, as well as the ones on the Nintendo GameCube, in this case, Super Monkey Ball if you will. So, but then again though, we'll have to wait and see what happens until specifically when it gets to 2021. So, but then again though, it will take a long time to able to get there, so believe me. Alright, so in this part right there, is that we definitely need to able to toss that particular block all the way onto that certain specific point, even though timing on this is a little bit too much of a fickle, but luckily, I think this might actually be some sort of like a successful attempt, because the reason why I say that, because if we try to do this carefully enough, and thankfully, oh jeez, oh thank goodness for that. And I'm almost gonna give myself a bad cough for a moment, because I almost attempt to get myself a little bit nerve-wracking at points, so... And it seems convenient enough is the fact that we almost at the I think we're in a halfway point when it comes to getting those, you know, dream stones kind of thing about it. So yeah, you get the idea. Alright, so let's go ahead and just move on to this next puzzle. Well, this particular room might be slightly similar to the ones and how it does it in, let's just say in 5-5, except this time we need to do an exact opposite. Like, I think, what we're supposed to do, that I'm pretty sure we need to still once again just move this particular block to the other side, and then, I'm presuming we need to place this block onto, maybe there, but I have no idea what I was going to be doing, just because, although I need to get that extra life right there, although it might be seems kind of pointless for me though, just because, well, eventually by this point until the final world in the game, we were able to definitely try to still bank up for more of our extra lives as soon as we possibly could, so... But hopefully that will make it happen though, that will definitely make it happen, so... Anyways, let's shove this over, and I get the strong feeling that this particular plan does not work out, which... I think I should probably point things out until specifically in just a moment, so let's give us a demonstration until whenever we're able to decide if, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work, just because of that. Well, for those particular ceiling right there, or those particular platform shapes, it's now slightly differ, compared to the forms of 5-5, so let's restart. Okay, quick error right there. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do here, so in this case we need to use this, so that way we can able to just, well, just trying to able to actually just to, oh, okay, there we go. And that way we would be able to not get blown above it. So instead of like trying to able to place that particular block on top of that particular spiny-like looking enemy right there, even though despite he was actually invincible, well, we need to shove this cube or that block right there onto the opposite way and use that as a some sort of like a platform right there. Wait until when he goes back up, and eventually you'll get yourselves, of course, the next star. So, I think, relatively speaking, is the fact that we almost nearly towards the end of this particular level already, which I know for the fact that it kind of seems goes off by very, very fast and convenient, that is, even though despite the fact there's going to be a lot of emphasis on backtracking, as I said earlier, so yeah, I might able to get used to with it. Excuse me. I might actually get used to with that stuff, so anyways, use that enemy right there, because that way it gives you a lot of advantage for that leaps of faith. That way you can get yourselves a square key. So, you know, not too shabby, not too complicated either. So, either way though, I'm pretty sure this is the last room we might able to entering into. So, either way though, we'll go ahead and, oh, this seems pretty simple. Like, just trying to get that star in the process. That way, there we go. Not that complicated. Even though that the second, star might give me a little bit of a trickier time, but either way though, that's just, I think that's just how it is basically when it comes to likely for first time playing through certain puzzle segments. Okay, quick error right there because I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. So basically, in this part, not only do you need to able to re-grab that particular same star all over again, but if you really want to go after the remainings of those pieces of your gallery image, well, basically, for these Dreamstones requirements, well, we need to do this. And obviously we need to carry this all the way to there, and this is going to be a perfect timing syndrome, because if you time it at the bad time, well, luckily you can able to restart the room, unless if you need to re-grab that particular same star all over again. So yeah, I just want to point things out right away, because unfortunately you can't able to actually save your progression unless if you leave the room. So either way though, although thankfully the checkpoints has been quite, you know, very common in this game, because, well, again, unlike in the original Klonoa game, to get checkpoints on that game is that you need to activate those little clocks, whilst in this, you get checkpoints until you move on to the next room, so that maybe seems very generous when it comes to forms of, you know, the actual difficulty side of things. So anyways, let's go ahead and grab another extra life, even though as you can clearly tell, I was expecting that I originally got 27 extra lives, when I was assuming if I was able to grab that in the first place, but somehow I've gone back to 26 extra lives just because I have to reset the room, you know, with that particular second star I have to grab. So anyway, before you leave the entire level, and especially noticeable to try to conclude this world, well, obviously we need to grab that last Dreamstone, and I think we are good to go. So, in this case, World 5 is going to be completed by then. So, yeah. Again, didn't seem to have that much troubles with this world, aside from the fact that it might get confusing at times if you manage your first time playing for this particular world. So, there we go, folks. World 5 is completed. And to top it all off, we able to actually completely done with our gallery image in World 5. So, yeah. And let's watch this little cinematic right there, despite the fact there was actually still images, as you can tell. Which I don't know exactly what is going on at this point, because again, everything else is translated to Japanese and stuff like that. Which, again, if you really want to look up on the English translation on, let's just say I'm on GameFAQs or something, then, you know, links in the description or something. Well, links in the description below. So, either way though, I think we've already pointed things out right away ever since then. So, yeah, I think, fundamentally speaking, is that Klonoa and Hyupo managed to able to actually saw the full moon. What that full moon represents with, if you're probably wondering? Well, we might as well talk more about it until when this particular scene is actually finished. So, Yeah, for the most part though, because I'm just usually just trying to able to speed things up, because I'm actually currently running out of time, because even then I just have to deal with a lot of schedules to be working on with, especially noticeable that since after all, oh yeah, this particular credit sequence reminds me of something. It reminds me of so much of a roll call kind of credit sequence ever since in Super Mario World or something, except the fact that with the lack of color. But oh well. No big deal though, and it's actually pretty cool looking for able to see the some Japanese text on during the credit sequence or something, which usually we have usually in some other games nowadays, managed able to actually get every single staff members on a credit sequence or staff members, well, on during a staff credit sequence. Sometimes every single text is all in English, so, but usually relatively speaking, that's all I can really think of for Delta for anyway. But again, it's hard to explain about this sometimes because I know for the fact that my commentary itself wasn't exactly the most accurate still. But apart from that side of things though, I think I actually did my commentary okay enough, despite with the forms of some technical props here and there. But hey, at least that's something, alright? So with that being said, if you think this game was actually over, well, turns out there was actually more to it than that, which after that particular staff credit sequence is going to be finished, after that particular familiar Namco, as what's shown here, and after when that particular scene has been done, well, there's actually that familiar scene right there, which, again, it's all translated to Japanese, so I can't really read that much, so I must admit that I do apologize for that. So what does that mean by that then exactly? Well, you were able to actually unlock the true final world in a game, which apparently we're actually going to be coming across into, is World EX. In this case, well, Extra Vision. But we'll discuss more about that particular stuff until, specifically, on Thursday. And as you can see on that 60 hours, well, I would say 60 minutes, specifically on that time right there, which again, we'll point it out whenever we get into it. So yeah, see you guys next time for more of Let's Play Klonoa Moonlight Museum. It's the fact that we're going to be hitting on to the final world in the game, World EX. So I'll see you guys on this Thursday.